But shooting the load is the best part of everything, isn't it?
Well, sometimes you gotta save it. It's like when you're going on a hike, like up a mountain. You don't want to start taking your pictures too early. You're pre-coming right there. You gotta wait till you get to the top, and you get the sweet spot.
On that note, guys, welcome back to Not a Strong Start, a podcast by filmmakers who talk movies, television, and love orgasming in open, beautiful, serene locations. I'm your host, Leprechaun on the mic.
Where's me gold?
I'm Leprechaun in Pacoima.
I'm Clover Bullet. Sounds like a stripper name, but that's not why I put it.
It really does. And I feel we really got to nail this impersonation, guys. We just gave like half-hearted. Come on, Chuck, give me a leprechaun.
I'm Leprechaun in Pacoima.
There you go. Good. Jose, come on.
Where's me gold?
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
Marie?
I can't do it because I'm losing my voice. So how do I do it? How do you be
All right.
Irish? Clover Bullet.
Hey, good enough. Leprechaun on the mic. There we go. So on this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the Leprechaun franchise. Why? I don't know. We wanted to pick a very bad franchise that we all haven't seen. Outside of us binging this, I think I had only seen Leprechaun 1 and Leprechaun 3. I think we're the only ones I had ever seen of this franchise prior. How about you guys?
I had seen the first one, and I think I had seen the In the Hood. I had seen that one, not the Back to the Hood. So I had just seen those two.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd seen the first one for sure. And then when I watched the one in the Hood, I realized that I had seen it because I remember Ice-T. And I'm like, oh, shit, that's right. I have seen this. But I obviously...
Yeah. Expelled it.
Yeah, I removed it from my memory for obvious reasons. So
I don't think I've seen any of them before prior to this. No.
Oh, so you were lucky enough to watch all this and binge
Oh, it's so
all...
lucky.
Well, this I believe it was Mark Jones was the creator of this, and I remember reading that he got the idea out of a Lucky Charms commercial. Which is funny because that actually gets included in one of the movies as a little tidbit.
Multiple.
These. And yeah, in these movies, they released in the 90s. They're as 90s as can be, and I think at one point they were following the Paranormal Activity formula, and they were releasing like every year. I think like the first 4 released on like back to back years. I think one was even filmed in 6 months. I'll let you guys guess which one that was.
I can't even guess, dude. They're all bad. And I'm like, no, Hood, no, yeah. Back in the Hood. Yeah. Or are you saying all of them were filmed in 6 months?
All of them were filmed in
I
a
would
6-month
believe
period.
That. I'm not gonna lie. If I hadn't read it, I would not have been able to guess which one was the one that was done in 6 months because there was other ones I thought were worse.
Was it Space?
Oh.
It was actually part 2 was filmed.
Okay.
In 6 months. Yeah, they rushed that out. It was filmed in 6 months, released within the year of the last release. So
that's always the mark of a very good franchise. Get it out quickly. It's Taco Bell, man. Get it. Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Yeah. And the final product was like the final product of Taco Bell too.
Yeah, the same.
Yeah, exactly. Just a big pile of shit.
Literally.
For anyone who has not had the pleasure to watch these cinema greatness that is the Leprechaun movies, the overall concept is ancient leprechaun, people taking his gold, going on a killing spree to get his gold. That's the general aspect of the entire franchise. And then we're kind of going to dive in movie by movie and let you guys know about all the glory we saw.
Yeah, okay, so when you say the gold was stolen, in how many movies does that happen in?
See, is it stolen or is it just always found?
Yeah, I feel like he loses it. He's like, "Where's my gold?" And then these people find it. It's like, keep it a track of your shit, Leprechaun. It's your own fault.
Chuck, how excited were you for this? To dive into
Not excited at all. I crammed because sometimes on the thread I'll miss it for like a few hours.
Yeah.
And there'll be like fucking like 30 messages. And so I'm like, I saw
That's
something.
The same span of releasing 3 more Leprechauns.
Yeah. And so I remember seeing like, oh, Leprechaun, we should watch Leprechaun. And then I was like, And then like a few days ago, you're like, yo, did you watch all the Leprechauns? And I was like, was I supposed to? You're like, yes, dude. And I'm like, fuck. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, not excited at all, dude. But you know what? They were pretty funny, you know? Like, I didn't hate it. It wasn't as bad as watching that Nosferatu movie we watched a while back. Like, that was not enjoyable. I enjoyed it, you know? Like, it was bad, but I was laughing, you know? So, it wasn't too bad.
Okay. How about you, Marie? What did you hear of Leprechaun prior to watching them?
Not much, that they were like, you know, cheesy, crappy 90s movies about a leprechaun. Warwick Davis being a bad boy.
Yes.
I didn't know that. That's Willow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first couple. I think the first few.
No, he goes
all of them.
He was in
all the way. His
Yeah.
last one was Back to the Hood, and then the two after that we didn't include in this were not him.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So I was like, oh shit, Willow? And I'm like, oh, okay.
That kind of changes things, because I felt like he just kind of bagged his performance towards the end. He just gave half-hearted deliveries, because the first few I was like, oh, I was like, well, it's Warwick Davis. Like, he really tried. By the end, I was like, they just casted somebody else. If that's still Warwick Davis, wow.
Yeah, he brought some street cred into this franchise, dude. So.
But like near the end, though, you're right. Like, I feel like his accent was different. His voice was different. Like, he wasn't like really in character as much, it seemed.
No.
Yeah,
No.
I noticed that too. I thought it was different too, because I'm like, did they do a different voice for this? Because he really changed it at the end.
Yeah.
He was like Elizabeth Olsen from WandaVision. Or Wanda, right? Like, her accent kind of comes and goes.
So they pioneered that then.
Yeah.
I do think some of that is due to also directorial changes. So you had different directors throughout. I know for like the last one, Back in the Hood, the director they purposely wanted to do some changes to it and kind of take a more grounded tone. And there was a lot of changes that were done for the last one. So I don't know, that might have affected Willow's performance.
Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys want to get into the very first one, Leprechaun 1?
All right.
Do it.
Okay.
Classic.
So first we'll start off with just the overall view of it. So how did you feel about it, Marie?
I don't even think it was my favorite one out of them all. I don't think it was my favorite. No.
Okay.
But I like Jennifer Aniston though. I'm like, she's carrying this movie. She's good.
She is.
But
okay.
It was pretty much what I expected. But out of all of them, I don't think it was my favorite.
Okay. How about you, Chuck?
Yeah, wasn't my favorite. I don't know how they made more of this one. I mean, I guess if I remember, they probably made like 10 or 12 million off of it because the budget was so low. So I'm assuming that's why they made another one. But I was like watching it and I'm like, how the fuck did they make all these movies and I can't make one? And I'm like, geez. So that's how I feel.
Okay. Jose.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first one. It's the one that tried to establish some kind of lore and rules for the franchise. Tried to establish them. It's also not my favorite. Like, I feel the only redeeming aspect of the best parts of it for me were like the kid and like Ozzy, and then Jennifer Aniston, because it's Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
But besides that, you don't really have much likable characters, because even like Jennifer Aniston's character is not very likable at all.
Yeah.
It's just Jennifer Aniston. So I think like the kid and Ozzy is kind of what kept me entertained throughout. And then I do feel that the Leprechaun had a lot of energy in this one. That's that first one. He probably thought, this is big. I'm gonna join the Mount Rushmore up there with Freddy and Michael Myers and Jason. This is the one. But yeah, those are my overall thoughts on it.
Yeah, I felt like that. Like with the cast that they had, it was obvious that it was like a franchise builder. Like it was very obvious. They set up their rules with Warwick Davis and his performance. Like he really played into almost like a Freddy, like a little Freddy. Have you? Jennifer Aniston, it was so clear, even though her character wasn't really likable, it was so clear that she was charismatic. And like you said, Marie, she was clearly carrying the movie. It was obvious. That Ozzy guy seemed like he just copied his character from Pee-wee, from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Same character, same actor.
My first note I wrote, why is there a big crate in this basement?
That's a very good point.
And why are there so many mountains in North Dakota? I live 2 hours away from North Dakota, a 2-hour drive from North Dakota. Let me tell you, it is flat. Maybe South Dakota has some mountains, but I was like, this is supposed to be North Dakota. This is hilarious.
They're magical mountains.
So he can disappear, but he can't get out of this crate. Like he's in this crate for so long, but he can like disappear and stuff. Like, why is he stuck in this crate for so long? Just get out. You're napping. What's happening?
It was a pandemic.
But the truth is, their reasoning for that is that the clover was on top, kind of sapping him of his powers. But like, what is this clover made out of that it went all those years and it never like disintegrated? With like no water, no sunlight, no like roots or anything. This clover just survived on top of the crate.
You couldn't just blow it out from inside the crate between
just
the wood
like
panels?
hit the box until it falls off.
Seriously,
because even when they knocked it off, it didn't go that far. It literally went right next to the box.
Also, it was part of his kryptonite where like he likes to clean shoes. So people were like throwing shoes at him as a distraction. Was that a scene?
Yeah,
I gotta see this correctly. Did I see it right?
Yeah,
I gotta say that was probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. I was like, this is hilarious that he's like stopping everything because he can't help not cleaning shoes. Like even when he kills the guy with the pogo stick, which is like my favorite death, I guess, in this movie, he cleans his shoes before he goes. Like, oh, can't have you dying with dirty shoes.
Yeah, gotta die in style, man. Die in style.
And they barely ever address that again, like in the other movies. It's that's not a thing anymore. I liked when he took that eye out of the socket and put it in his own socket. That was like my favorite part. I think that was my favorite part of the movie, was putting that eye in there. A lot of eye play in these movies.
That's all he got. I feel like every movie he had eye play, didn't it? It seemed like it. They love their eyeballs. Yeah.
They do.
So many things that they didn't keep, and we'll see as we talk more about it. But the eye thing, they were like, yes, this we have to keep. We have to keep this for every movie.
Yeah, the eyes. Yeah.
Anyway.
That was just little notes I had about that. Just little notes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and I really loved "Fuck you, Lucky Charms."
Yeah.
That was also my favorite part. I'm like, yeah, that's good. That's it. That's my little notes of the movie.
One, I just realized Jose's wearing a green shirt.
Oh yeah.
On purpose.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, nice. That was my favorite part of Leprechaun 1 was Jose's shirt.
Yeah, mine too.
And so I'm just a little confused. So they had a clover gum and they spit it at him, and
No, you're talking about at the end when they took him out?
Yeah.
He took the clover and he put it into the gum and then used the slingshot to shoot it into his mouth. With perfect aiming.
Yeah. Okay. That's because I was like, wait, what did he? What? Oh, okay. And then he's like, I'm gonna get me gold, and I was like, okay.
So that's what you're going with. So that's what you're going with.
Yeah, I was like, don't get it, but maybe I'm not supposed to. So
what do you think was out of all the ones they had in there, Chuck, was the cheesiest scene for you?
I was gonna say the shoes, but I loved it. You know, like I'm telling you, dude, there was things about it that I thought were really funny, you know?
Yeah.
They're driving away and he's like, I wanna go. No, I still have 2 boots to go.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was so
Easiest,
funny.
but I loved it. Like I was like, okay, I can get on board with that.
Franchise building, man. It's franchise building.
Yeah.
Yeah. The limericks. Every time he'd be speaking in those limericks, like I liked it, man. I loved it when he had that. When I don't remember what movie it was where he just dropped the limericks and then it's like, this sucks. And now he's just a talking leprechaun.
He had bars. He had bars. Some movies more than others. This isn't even wasn't as limerick heavy as some of his other ones.
Yeah.
But you know, it was a good amount. I think like one of the scenes that I was just like, what the fuck is going on here? And it's after the guy just like trips and then gets caught in like a bear trap, and the leprechaun comes, and then the leprechaun proceeds to start getting his ass beat by this one-legged man. And he's a beater, so he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna bite your ankle that's in the bear trap. And all of a sudden, it just turns into a gang beatdown, but he won't stop biting the guy. They're just hitting him on top of the head. I'm like, what other like major like villain have you seen? There's a scene like that where everyone's just kind of bonking him on top of the head, and he's just biting someone's ankle.
like a rabid animal, man.
Yeah.
I love the chase scene when he was chasing Jennifer Aniston, and like they did the leg shot where you see it going behind her, and then when they show him, you see his little legs just running through the grass. When I saw that, it just reminds you how little his legs are and how much faster he has to be just to keep in stride with her.
They did that with the cop too. The cop scene. I was like, how is this cop not outrunning him? Like, you deserve to be a cop if you can't outrun these little legs.
So Leprechaun 2, that came out, what is it, 6 months after the first one, you said?
Yeah, from what I had read, it took about 6 months to film, but it came out the next year. In this one, basically, they give you a little tidbit of like the past 1,000 years ago, which, by the way, in the first one, he said he was 600 years old. And then this one, it starts off 1,000 years before. So someone's lying. 1,000 years ago.
He's trying to get a bride, dude. He don't want to make it seem like he's at, like, or maybe he's underage, or I don't know.
I don't know, but it was like, it's supposedly the concept of he just turned 1,000, so it's just time to get a bride. You know, he's getting to that ripe age to marry of 1,000. And the strategy there is he has to make a woman sneeze 3 times without someone saying "God bless you." And if they do that, then that's it. They're his wife. They're committed to him. And the father of the girl who he does this to ends up saying "God bless you" to ruin his plans of getting the wife. So he promises in 1,000 years he's going to return again to get an ancestor, and that's how we get into the beginning of Leprechaun 2.
I should have been married a long time ago, because I went out with this girl that was a Jehovah's Witness, and every time I fucking sneezed, she wouldn't say "God bless you," and I thought it was really fucking weird. And so,
you're committed now. You are married.
Yeah, I think me and her are married
for 12 years now.
I haven't seen her in like 20 years, but
20 years. You guys have been married for 20. You guys had your 20th anniversary already. You didn't even know it.
We've been married for 1,000 years.
Chuck.
Chuck, was she like 3 feet tall, and did she have a lot of gold, and did she appear at the end of the rainbow?
And bad dental hygiene.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things that were different about that whole relationship because of it, but that was the only thing that I thought was really fucking odd. When I would sneeze, and I was like, and it was just like, okay,
go fuck me then.
Yeah,
not even a gesundheit or
nothing. I would sneeze and I would look at her, and she's on.
Weird. That is like, weird.
This is weird. And I'm like, I don't even care that we don't celebrate my birthday or anything else. This is fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where I draw the line.
This is where I draw the line. Yeah.
That's a Seinfeld episode right there. Like, that is what that is. Okay. I think Leprechaun 2 is maybe my favorite one. And I think it's because of well, I don't want to say it's a love story, but it is a love story between not the leprechaun and what's her name? Bridget. But like Bridget and her boyfriend. So I was like, oh, I like this. Is she gonna get out? Is she gonna have to suffer? I don't know. I like that one. Actually, number 3 was good. Was good too. But my first note that I have here was he awoken by the whiskey? As an Irish person, I'm highly offended that they are painting Irish people with the stereotype of being alcoholics. and I'm kidding. Irish people love to drink. It's just that's the truth.
Yes, they do.
But I did love how he spat out the Canadian whiskey because Irish whiskey is so much better than Canadian whiskey.
He killed that guy just for the fact that he had Canadian whiskey.
Yes, that's my one big note. And also, my favorite kill in that one is the face sliced off by the saw boobs.
The booby fan.
Yeah.
The booby fan.
That's so good. I love that.
Yeah.
That's the same one that I had for like the death. With this one, this is actually one of my least favorite. Not my least favorite, but one of my least favorite. I felt like the main character was the only person who wasn't a complete dick in this movie. Like, she was a dick. His uncle was a dick. The guy who got the booby fans was a dick. The mall cop was a dick. Like, everyone just kind of sucked as a person. I mean, he wasn't great, but he was like the only one who just like wasn't a dick in this movie. And I don't know. Some of her performance.
Oh yeah,
I think she's probably one of the worst actors in this series as a whole.
That says a lot.
There was so many times that her face did not match what her words were saying. She's just like, "Oh, I forgive you," but her face says she's angry. I mean, I guess that's pretty realistic. But
it's like when you text somebody something bad, but you don't really know if you really want to say it, and you're like, "Yeah, my aunt passed away. LOL." And they're like, oh, okay.
It's the emoji, huh? When you do that emoji at the end, like, the emoji doesn't match your sentence.
Like, did his aunt really die? He has a laughing emoji. It's like,
So,
what question for you, Dan?
Yeah.
Who is modding all of the Leprechaun's cars? Because this is the second movie where he comes out with a modded out like mini car. Who's doing the modding there?
I think it's Exhibit, right? He's pimping his ride. I think the only non-asshole in this movie was the Leprechaun. So he was the most likable fucking character, dude.
I was gonna say, is this the one with the wrought iron? Remember I messaged you, Daniel, and I was like, I always thought it was rod iron, and it's wrought iron because I was watching it with I was watching it
subtitles,
with captions. Yeah, but like. So that they never address ever again either, right?
No. And in the first one, in the first one, I feel on that farm area, there's plenty of fucking iron around.
Yeah.
And it just like
never used it.
Wait, so it's wrought iron?
Wrought. No, WROUGHT.
Oh shit, not even ROT? Damn. That's like the Mandela effect for me right there, dude. I'm like, it's always been wrought iron, ROD.
That's what I always thought it was too.
So what I said the two leads felt like Hocus Pocus runner-ups. They felt like the exact same two characters. I said it's the homeless guy, the guy that had the cheap Canadian whiskey. He had a very nice cardigan sweater. So even when he put his foot against him and he was killing him, I noticed that's a very nice cardigan sweater. How can you afford that, sir? But you can't afford the Irish whiskey.
Yeah, maybe he's just Canadian in general, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, we got nice cardigans here.
Pull over. It's a cardigan, but thanks.
And then I wrote down, he says the line "finger licking good," and I said, how does he know modern references? Like, how does he know from KFC? Yeah. How does he know this stuff? He's been locked away in a fucking, in the cellar for so long.
He came out in his first line to the guy. He's talking about Novocaine. I'm like, I don't think they had or spoke about Novocaine 1,000 years before.
No, and definitely not finger licking good.
Yeah, and he should have came out and said milk of the poppy or something like that, right?
Exactly, milk of the poppy. Then I get it. And then I wrote down how or why is he spawning? Like, throughout each of these movies, is it established that it's the same leprechaun, or are they different leprechauns? Like, we don't really know, and they just look alike and sound alike. Like, it would explain why he's losing the limericks and why he's acting different. Do we know it's the same leprechaun?
No, that did. I mean, we assume by the makeup and the look. They didn't change the look until I think in Back to the Hood that it's the same one. But yeah, they, unlike the other major franchises, they said fuck bringing up how he comes back to life. Just bring him back to life, and we're just gonna skip right by it.
Reanimate him every time.
Because if you go with the theory that it's a different leprechaun in each movie, it completely answers so many inconsistency questions that we have. Or if we talk about, you know, the wrought iron, well, this one could do it in this movie. It's a different leprechaun. They have different powers. It would explain so much.
You know what? I don't think it is because of the story they tell us in Back to the Hood.
That's what I'm saying. It's
where
different.
It explains that only one. But it explains that only one leprechaun stood behind in the world. They said all the other ones go back underground.
Yeah.
Maybe he traveled through the multiverse and it's a different leprechaun.
Like Doctor Strange. Like Doctor Strange, there's different versions of it.
This one also, again, it introduced a whole new concept that we didn't see in the first one. That could have helped the people in the first one, which is if you're holding a fucking coin, he can't hurt you.
Yeah.
It was like it was like, where was that in the first one? Like, they could have just all held coins and be like, fuck off.
Yeah. There's nothing you can do about it.
I'll put it on the chain and just hang it dangling in. I'll make a chain out of all coins.
Like, chocolate coins count? Like if it's like chocolate covered in the gold, does that count?
No, which was established in this movie.
I will say though, I think my favorite scene in this was probably the bar scene, the drink off, the electric. And the leprechaun just got completely fucking wasted. He couldn't even lift an ashtray through it. I was like, all right, leprechaun is up to a challenge here. He was like, all right, I'll drink with you.
And he liked it. He loves drinking, so he was perfectly on board with killing later. Like
he likes his vices, you know, drinks, drugs, and sex.
And women. Leprechaun 3. Chuck, you want to start us off? How'd you feel about it? The Vegas one.
It's not my favorite.
Okay.
But I loved it. Like he was badass.
Yeah.
He was badass. How many badasses was he in this one?
4.5.
4.5. That's good.
Yeah, so like 4 full asses and then a butt cheek.
One butt cheek. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Yeah, but dude, I was bummed. They threw him out the window, and I was like, I think I texted you guys. I was like, dude, you just threw this fool out the fucking window, dude. Like he was a little leprechaun.
They just punted him like a football.
Yeah, dude. And they're fucking stealing his shit. And that guy goes in there and he's like on a roll, doing like literally and.
This actually was my favorite out of like the entire series. I felt this one had the best deaths. It was the more creative deaths.
Yep. Yeah.
Like most of the first two, it was just neck snapping and that's it. Like that's all you got. But in this one, I like it because of that. I feel that they had the most fun with this one. I don't know if it was the environment and the Vegas. He seemed to fit in so well in there, and they seemed to lean. The first two, I don't know if they were fully going for comedy. It just might have been accidentally funny in some parts. But this one, it seemed like they were leaning more towards the comedy. And I think that made it more entertaining. So, like, that's like the overall thoughts. I mean, not that it didn't have its like issues. There's certain things that I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, first of all, so this kid who's driving to college in California, she's just carrying a $23,000 check for his tuition. And how did he even get into the college if he hasn't paid his tuition yet? Like what? He's just carrying that in his pocket. Like, hey, let me do this. They introduced a new concept, that like She-Hulk, if you bleed into someone, they like get your powers and abilities here. So all of a sudden, it's like, all right, bled into his wound. Now we're gonna have another like leprechaun.
Again, never addressed again, was it?
No.
One time.
This is one of those one-offs like that. And then they also introduced the concept of like, now the coins don't protect you from getting killed, but now they grant you wishes. So it's like the coins are evolving and what they can do.
Which I actually liked. I kind of like the idea of the wish. I was like, well, that's interesting. You're now giving more power to the coin rather than it just being monetary.
But the wishes always turned out wrong, right?
Oh, yeah.
And why was it just like to reflect like your selfishness? Like you're being so selfish. That's why you're going to get like effed up with these wishes. You know what? I think thinking about it, I like number 2, but this one was the most entertaining for sure.
Yeah.
And the kills were the best in this one. Are we talking about specific kills yet or no?
You can if you
We
want.
can.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, when she explodes, I was like,
Yes.
her lips and her boobs and her ass. I was like, this is what girls strive to look like right now.
That's what I wrote. That was one of my notes. I was like, that's funny. That's exactly the BBL that girls are going for right now.
It is.
I called it the Kardashian death here.
Yeah.
It is. And it's so funny though when she was like, I'm gonna be so hot and everything, and then she comes out with the worst haircut. Josh Hartnett haircut. Sorry, we love Josh Hartnett.
Whoa.
That was legit at Halloween H2O, Josh Hartnett haircut on a chick, supposedly being the hottest version of herself. That's just like this military cut.
Yeah, that's the part of the wish that went wrong. It was that the Josh Hartnett.
That was worse than the
she wishes like, let me look like the hottest person in the world, which is Josh Hartnett, right? But then they gave her the Josh Hartnett haircut, so it's like a monkey paw wish, dude.
So I put down in the beginning, the pawn shop owner is told not to touch the amulet, and then what does he do? He immediately touches it and puts it on, like immediately. Whatever you do, don't touch the amulet. Let me take the money. And as soon as the guy leaves, he immediately grabs it and puts it on.
I said that makes sense to me. I would have did that shit too. When people tell me not to do something, I'm all,
the red button.
Yeah, I'm off. Fuck you. I'm gonna do it now. So,
and like that, you would have spawned the leprechaun. See, so Chuck would have died first.
I would have died first. Yeah, I wouldn't have survived this franchise.
No.
We barely did. We barely did survive it.
Yeah, we barely did, and we just watched it. Vegas is the best setting so far. That's what I put down, and because it plays off of people's greed. So I thought the third one's the best one too. It was super comedy. That's where I was kind of having fun watching it, and I was like, okay, this one's fun. Now I can see a franchise built around this one. The exposition of the Leprechaun mythology and like how it works, it was just randomly playing on the computer in the pawn shop.
This guy had a random CD-ROM in his desk for Leprechauns. I don't know,
just
but it's like,
playing it
good
for
thing
no
I
reason.
saved this one. Explain to
me.
me, and this kind of goes with what Marie was saying about the first movie, is this Leprechaun who has these powers who can like teleport and disappear. How was he locked in the basement for so long when the shop owner closed the door on him? Like he just couldn't get out of the damn basement for like the first like half an hour of the movie.
Yeah. I also like how when the lead guy is transforming into a leprechaun, he just starts getting like an accent. So it doesn't mean that he just looks like he starts getting a really bad Irish accent. I'm like, oh, come on.
I think our Irish accents in the beginning were better than his.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Really, I was impressed with his accent. I was like, this is why they cast this guy, because he can do a pretty good Irish accent. It's like over the top and exaggerated, which is what I liked.
And he looked a little leprechaunish too. You know what I'm saying? Like when they first had him, I'm like, why do they cast this guy? This guy doesn't look a lead. And then when you see him transforming, I'm like, that's why he looks like a leprechaun.
Creepiness.
Yeah. Get it. All right. Leprechaun 4 in Space. Jose's favorite Leprechaun movie by far. Jose, start us off with this one.
This is the worst. To be honest, there was nothing redeeming about this movie at all. I can probably pick out things from the other movies that it was like, okay, there was nothing redeeming about this one at all. First of all, why the fuck is he in space? I don't know. There's never an explanation. I don't think they ever even refer to him as a leprechaun. They just call him like the alien or something like that. I don't think I ever heard them ever refer to him as a leprechaun. But first of all, there's so many references to like space movies. Of course, they had Star Wars. This like princess from another planet basically like ripped off Princess Leia's like prisoner outfit. You know, he jabbed a lightsaber up a guy's ass to kill him in there. And I could not stop laughing, not for a good reason. Every time the soldiers were in action, just the way they were holding their guns and like walking in, they were just like holding them down. Like, what are you gonna shoot? Like, you're not even aiming. And it's so much bad. And then like I remember at the end of the movie, that had to be the calmest, most relaxed self-destruct voice I've ever heard in the movie.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. You guys better be on the escape pod ship. You guys gotta get on it, guys.
Yeah.
Come on, time's a ticking, pretty much.
Felt like
Well, you
Spaceballs
trying
a
to-
little bit, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, you try to find that password. Here's some smooth jazz.
We can all agree that the best death in the whole series was in this movie, right?
Which way?
The penis?
Yeah.
Leprechaun penis? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know how that works. He like just teleported and hid in his dick. And then we just like
It reminds me of
to-
the boys. Remember that? The shrinking guy? He just goes in his dick.
Okay, this is my first note. I'm not sure how many people are gonna get it, but I said I like how Klaus Schwab plays Dr. Mittenhand. If you know who that is. From the World Economic Forum. He's like the German guy and he seems like he's a villain. No one knows who Klaus Schwab is.
No.
Oh
But
my
this
god.
this guy was definitely like Nazi mad scientist.
This is
the
okay. Well, maybe I'm getting a little too political with this, but anyway, there's a guy from the World Economic Forum who looks like him and sounds like him and is like he's an evil villain, but it's in real life.
Oh, okay.
For those of you who don't know, here is the picture that Dan's gonna put up.
Yeah. Whoa, that's the guy. Whoa.
That note was a stretch, but
Yeah. Okay.
And another note says I like the whole will they won't they, the doctor and the marine, and the stereotype that marines are stupid and uneducated and that doctors are actually smart. They ended up kissing, right? Yeah, at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is after the spider had like stripped her out of her pants for some reason. It was like, I'm not gonna kill you, but I'm gonna take your pants away.
It was like, how can we have titties in this movie? You're gonna die now. Like, it's just like, what? Like, we gotta have titties. How are we gonna write it in? Like
And
that.
Chuck's
And
like, yeah, no, I'm interested.
I was like, this is the best installment. Yes.
You have dick death and you got titties. That's all you need.
They went so over the top of that because like even the guy, he got grazed on the shoulder and he was like, I better take off my shirts and like fight the rest of the time. Like, shirtless.
I have that too. I'm like, and how do we get this guy's shirt off? How do we get this girl's pants off? There's like always like little parts.
Here, I'll just take them off and pull them up. That's it.
The scariest part about this movie I have written down is that people read the script and actually agreed to be in it. Like, yes. who read the script and were like, totally, I'm down. This is gonna be
the directors that looked and said, this is my vision. It's like, you have a vision? There's a vision for this? Yeah.
So what should we do for the end? All right, I got it. We're gonna use the reverse shrink ray to make him grow. All right, and then what does he do once he grows? I don't know, just have him toss some crates around and like yell, but like nothing else.
I said the very first shot, we get the VFX graphics of the ship. And I was like, it's a 1980s render. I knew right away, oh, this movie's trash. I knew right away when I saw that spaceship. That's trash. I said Leprechaun with the lightsaber. I said, are the guns, are they shooting bullets or are they shooting lasers? Because they look like bullets, but they were making laser sounds. So I was like, I don't fucking know. But he has a lightsaber. Sure. Okay. I said the Marines dancing. Oh my God. Marines dancing. That was the most horrific thing I've seen out of this whole franchise was the Marines dancing. Ugh. And then they mention a reference of, as Shakespeare said. And I said, how do they even know who Shakespeare is? Like, isn't this like thousands of years that we have light speed travel? Like, how do they know this? So stupid. They did a Looney Tunes flat face where the guy had like a flat face, and I was like, oh my God, now we're just breaking the laws of physics. And then the sergeant in drag that was dancing and fighting.
What in the world?
And the doctor pulls out like freaking Cobra Kai moves like out of nowhere and beats him down. He's this decorated like sergeant. Kicks his ass.
Drag for why? Just for the amusement of the leprechaun. And that's when I was like, okay, really, this has to be a different leprechaun at this point because it's so different. I'm like, I don't get it. He's not chasing, like they're so inconsistent on what the leprechaun, what his wants and needs are in this franchise. Because with Michael Myers, you know what his desire is, right? Even with Jason, even with Freddy, the leprechaun is like, what are they establishing? every movie it's something different. Leprechaun in the Hood. Who wants to start us off with this one?
It reminds me of that. Not reminds me, but do you remember that other movie? What was it? Tales from the Hood. Did you guys ever see that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, cool. I wonder if that's where they got that from. Like, let's throw the Leprechaun in the Hood. You know, it's funny
Literally,
we talk about it like,
was.
yeah, you know, where they're like, "This is my vision, Leprechaun in space," and they were like, "Yeah," and then someone else came and they were like, "Leprechaun in the Hood." Why not?
And as soon as he said that, he's like, "I'm taking the rest of the day off."
Yeah, I'm taking the rest of the month off. We got our temple for the summer. But you know, it was silly. It was okay. You know, I think once they decided that they were just gonna like go off the rails and this is gonna be like a comedy kind of thing, then I was okay with it. You know, it's like the first two, and I think that I had read that somewhere where it was supposed to be like straight horror, like the Leprechaun franchise, right? And then Willow, he's the one that kind of infused that whole comedic kind of thing with it, and then they kind of just
took it too far. He had one suggestion that said, "Can I make one joke?" And they're like, "You know what? It's a fucking comedy now."
So there's a flute now, right? In this one, like all of a sudden there's this flute.
Yeah.
Okay, so the flute. Okay, I mean, they wanted to like tie, I guess, some sort of like musical aspect in it. Like, how can the Leprechaun and like rapping?
There are rappers in there and stuff. So,
yeah. So, but I thought this one was the most emotional one out of them all. I was sad. When he shoots himself, I was like, oh my God. I was actually like, no, please don't do it. And then it happened. I was like, I was not expecting to feel emotions in this franchise at all. And that broke my heart. I really liked that character.
I agree with you. Like, this was like the first one that had like a group of main characters that were all likable, and I was kind of rooting for them. So like that scene was probably the most tense scene out of the whole series, where it was like, oh shit, this has stakes. This is the first time I felt like there was stakes there. So it definitely, you feel it when that character dies. So first of all, this continues the trend of just like adding new things and new concept to it. Because it added the flute in there. Which, speaking of the flute, the whole time I'm watching it, and what was his name? Positive P. Positive P or whatever, when he has the flute, I'm like, why aren't you using that on Ice-T when he's coming to shoot you? Use the damn flute, especially once he found out. It's but he wouldn't use it on them. So they introduced that. All of a sudden the Leprechaun's like powers got souped up. So now he's got like mind control abilities. Now he's got like finger shotgun blast, where he's like able to blow holes through people from like a distance. I'm like, you could have literally ended these other movies way earlier if he was doing that.
I had a no for that. I said, when was he able to do that, and why wasn't he doing this back in movie one? The franchise would have been over.
Or when he was locked in the basement, he could have been like, and he's out, right? From part 2, I think.
Part 1.
Part 1.
Yeah, so when I saw that, I was like, come on, man. We could have ended in space so much earlier if you just did this. Like, we wouldn't have to like live through that movie. So they added that. I think the most ridiculous part of it is when they lock him in the safe and he calls his zombie fly girls, and he has like these backup dancers to like come. And they don't even let him out. For some reason, just them coming into the building allows him to get out of the safe.
I have a bunch of these. So I said immediate hip hop beat, just to establish that he's going to the hood. They just immediately hit us with a hip hop beat. When they break through the wall, there's a Colt, or they called it 54, but Colt 54 liquor. So I'm like, you're just reinforcing that his black's situation. It felt very much like a white guy wrote the script. I said the worst editing yet. It was so choppy. It was atrocious editing. I said the dude that's rubbing on the woman, you know, which is like the Leprechaun's controlling, and they're just moaning in the middle of the street. He's literally just rubbing her butt, and they're moaning like he's orgasming. When Ice-T was threatening, "Give me back my flute," I'm like, that sounds so stupid. I laughed every single time, and he kept bringing it up. "Man, give me back my flute." I'm like, that is not intimidating at all. at all. When he says she's the bomb, Leprechaun is learning lingo from where? I wrote down the same thing. How does he keep learning all this stuff? So he's in the hood for like 10 minutes and he already knows their lingo. So stupid. And then the plan for them is to dress like women. I was like, what?
Oh
the
God,
fuck?
again with the in drag thing.
Yeah.
Again.
We're noticing a pattern now. I'm like, why? Why is their idea of, well, let's dress like women? I'm like, you have facial hair. You have facial hair. So stupid.
And also that their friend Butch, I'm like, they kind of like gave hints throughout the movie that maybe he was gay and that's why he's a virgin. And he says to his friend too, oh, you look really good in that dress or whatever. And then when he's dying, he's like, do they got pussy in heaven? It's like, what's happening? Are you like, what?
Yeah,
because he's a butch. He's a butch. That's why his name's Butch. So,
there is one of the last. It is funny. One of the last things he says, he's like dying. He's like, not in the dress, not in the dress.
Yeah. Like that's funny.
I remember at the beginning of the movie, like when Ice-T finally captures him with like the chain goes up in the air, and then it just like while in the air, it like perfectly forms itself into an opening to land, and the leprechaun never moves. He just watches it as it lands on him and turns him to stone. Like, oh no!
And why? Where did the stone come from? Where did this amulet come from? It just appeared in number 3, and then that was it.
My question is, it's like, how did Ice-T and like these guys? How did they know that there's gonna be like treasure there? Like, is it just like known in that hood? Like, there's treasure somewhere, and they just
treasures
go
in every hood, dude.
These gangsters go on treasure hunts.
It wasn't part 6, so why wouldn't it be part 5? Because now we're going back to the hood. The first hood wasn't good enough, Chuck. They had to go back because it was such a phenomenal hit. It was such a monster hit.
I'm sad to say I missed this one. I didn't get around to it.
You need to, right after this, you need to watch it immediately. You need to. It's a must watch. Must watch.
Go. Sell me on this one. Sell me in this segment. Okay. Let's go.
All right, Marie.
I will say this, and this isn't saying much because of just the context of the entire series as a whole. But this probably was the best cast movie out of all of them. Yeah, the best cast. And then probably the least ridiculous out of all of them. This one, they tried to get a little more grounded. There was less of the rhyming. There was less magic used.
There was no rhyming. There was I didn't see any limericks in this one at all.
Actually, there was no limericks. There was less of the magic used, so they tried to get a little more. They try to give it more lore. This is where they introduce like where the leprechauns came from and how they were meant as protectors and they disappeared, and then just one stood behind, and this is the one that's been terrorizing people. They even changed his outfit so he looks different. So that is what I would give this one, is that they try to change it up and get a little more serious with it.
Yeah.
So, and then the characters were better as a whole.
Okay.
Well, I think because in this movie, the characters with the gold, it wasn't so much as wanting the gold for greed. It was for like desperation, like they needed money, like like that's why she like desperately needed money, wanted to get out of the hood and wanted to like be a dental person or something, go to college.
Go to college.
And so that I like that aspect of it, where it's like, I need this money, and not just like these greedy people you just kind of hate because they're like bad anyway. Like there's a death in this one. I was like, oh, I didn't want them to die. Like I got more attached to the hoods. I was more attached to the characters in both of the hood ones. I have to say, I was. That kitchen scene that was straight out of E.T., like frame for frame, moment from moment. That was like E.T. Just they put the leprechaun as E.T. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
This is exactly an E.T. scene.
Yeah.
I will say this, in this movie, the leprechaun got his ass beat left and right. This is the one where everyone was just straight up boxing the leprechaun left and right, since he wasn't using magic that much.
He's in the hood. They know how to scrap, man.
Yeah.
They weren't running. They were like, all right, run this. Let's go. Yeah. Like we're about to fight. Everyone at least got their hits in on this Leprechaun, and he wasn't doing magic. It was kind of like in in the movies where you see where the cop is like, you know what, I'm gonna put my gun down and like, let's go, I'm gonna fight you. That's what Leprechaun is. I'm gonna put my magic down and like we're gonna fight. Like I think probably my favorite death here, it was I call it the Jason Voorhees boxing death, because it was kind of like when Jason Voorhees goes to New York on the roof with a boxer. He just lets the boxer keep hitting him until he gets tired and then he knocks his head off. That's pretty much what Leprechaun did. He gave him the okie doke, and then he waited for him to get tired, and then he just shoved his fist through his chest.
So I put down best opening credit scene yet. Like it really was. I was like, that's pretty cool. It felt very grounded, and I was like, okay, this one, it seems like they're making an honest attempt of putting it back on the rails. I said, where did the bright light go on the holy water? You know, the very opening scene when you have the guy and he holds it up. There's a bright light on the holy water. I'm like, where's the light coming from? It's complete darkness. Like they're in the middle of a construction
from God,
site.
From heaven,
from the
heaven,
Lord,
bro. That's where it came from, dude.
Yeah, it did. There's a random customer at the salon, and when they're making fun of the main girl, and she goes, "Girl, she's going over the rainbow," and they both start cackling. I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? They're just making these burns on her, and I'm like, these burns don't even make sense. They're just laughing. So stupid. I said, where does the main guy know how much the coins are worth? Remember how they're in her apartment and she first pulls them out? He goes, "Oh, this is worth about 50,000 each." Like, how the fuck is this guy a gold expert all of a sudden? How the fuck does he know? He doesn't know.
He has a CD-ROM.
Yeah, he did. He has the same CD-ROM. I said the tone felt very much like the movie Next Friday. It felt exactly like that. And what's funny is we have a buddy named Anton, and Anton knows the director of this one, and he thought he was making a Leprechaun like on a beach type movie. They didn't know they were going back to the hood. So the whole time they were prepping for this movie, he thought it was an entirely different movie. So then when they came in with this one, he's like, I've never been in the hood. I don't know how to make a hood movie. And this is part 6.
Wow.
I mean, I think he did a good job, like for not knowing, I think it was a good attempt.
Yeah. I said, nice shout out to The Shining when he puts his head through the door.
Yeah.
Remember he did that? I was like, shout out. All the limericks were like gone. They never made it to the hood. I said, overall, I didn't think the 6th one was that terrible. I was like, it's actually okay. I like the lead girl and the fact that she wasn't selfish. They kind of gave her like that much of an arc. And I was like, okay, you actually feel for this character, because a lot of the other leads, they are, manipulative. They have greed. There is something that they're going for where like they're not the best, nice characters. In this one, I was like, she's actually a legit good character. So
yeah. I like that aspect too.
I think one of the moments that had me laughing during this is after he kills like Watson, the gang leader, and then he picks up his phone and it's like Watson's girlfriend calling. That whole like conversation where she's just like, "Well, who are you?" And he's like, "Are you in shape? You have a good body?" He's like, I think I have a good body. I'm pretty sure I got a good body." And it's like, all of a sudden, it looks like that's gonna happen until he says he's like 3'6", and then she hangs up on him.
Yeah.
Something about that conversation just had me like laughing in the moment.
Yeah.
And then I think probably my favorite scene was with the cops. So when they arrest the other one, and all of a sudden some cop turns into Jackie Chan and starts like throwing kicks to the face. So that's it. And then the Leprechaun takes and like rips his leg off. So he's standing there with one leg, hopping, like, "Give me my leg," before he like dies.
Yeah.
So
that was funny.
I thought that whole sequence going into him going to the car, and he's like, "I'm gonna go get him," and then he realized he can't reach the pedals. He finally drives up to the scene, and they got that little, in the movie where you always have like the cop does the quick step out and you only see the foot coming out of the car. So they played into that, and then the leg just drops. It's the cop's like broken leg.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has some good moments overall in it.
How many times can he get shot, man? He got shot so many times in this movie.
He's like 50 Cent, dude.
Shotgun blast too.
Yes, everything.
They had the video game gun. That shit did not run out of ammo.
No,
that was a 30 clip like handgun that he had in there at all.
Gosh.
They also added the refillable treasure chest in this one, which we didn't have
you're
in the other
right.
ones.
Yeah.
So then why would he care about where his gold is all the time? If he can just refill constantly, then why?
Yeah.
You're asking too many logical questions, Marie. Too many logical questions. All right. So what is your guys' best and worst of the Leprechaun franchise? Chuck, you go first.
Vegas. Vegas is the best. Space is the worst.
Yeah. That's same as mine, so I'll save my answer.
Yeah.
Same as mine.
Marie.
After talking about it more, yeah, three's my favorite, but I think 6 is the best made one.
Okay.
Like Back to the Hood, I think. But yeah, Vegas is my favorite.
Which is surprising, right? I'm actually shocked that 6 actually found its footing again. I'm like, wow, this is interesting. It was just, I didn't expect it.
Yeah, it was the better overall movie. 3 was the most entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
by far, man. That one actually had some deaths that I was like, yeah, and I was like cheering on, which usually that's why I like watching slasher horror movies, especially like Friday the 13th has so many good ones, where Jason just grabs the body in the sleeping bag and he throws it against the tree. I love those scenes. Or Jason X, the frozen head into the counter. I like those deaths. Leprechaun wasn't giving us enough of those, but part 3 he did, and I was like, okay, there's some good ones in here.
It's one of those where we just watch the ones that are more tolerable, because you do not need to watch these in order. If you're going to watch them, they absolutely do not connect to each other. They change the lore every single time. You can watch them in any order and not be lost. So if you're going to watch them, just go the original, do 3, and then do 6. And like just kind of keep it at that.
Do you mean you can watch them in order and still be lost? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, correct.
Yes.
There's no difference.
You can watch
It
it
doesn't
backwards.
matter. You're gonna be lost either way. Watch it in whatever order you want.
Yeah. Well, watch it on fast forward and it'll be a better viewing experience.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw some of them on 1.5. I wasn't lying when I said that too.
I believe you. You're just reading the subtitles really quickly. All right. So thank you everybody for watching another episode. This is Not a Strong Start. You can follow us on YouTube at Not a Strong Start. Please like, comment, subscribe, notifications, everything. We are going to be dropping future bonus episodes. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcast. Please follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Not a Strong Start. I'm your host, Leprechaun on the mic. You can follow me at King_Sangre.
I'm Where's Me Gold, and you can find me at This Is Mi Nombre.
I'm Leprechaun in Pacoima. You can find me at Chad Radwell 12.
And I'm Clover Bullet, not a stripper. And you can follow me at Marie Reviews Everything.
Well, no one's gonna follow you now that you said that.
I know.
Good. I didn't want them anyway if they were following me. I'm a stripper.